Genesis 31, 1 through 55. Devotional focus verse. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Genesis 31, 3. A promise from God can carry us through difficult circumstances. One morning, as Saviour Nnodim, one of our Nigerian pastors, was praying, the Spirit of God prompted him to pray a Bible promise about protection. That evening, when he left his office to go home, he was accosted by 4 armed robbers who shot at him many times, aiming at his head and body. He slumped to the ground, and the robbers sped away in his car. A few minutes later, God commanded him to stand up. When he obeyed and stood on his feet, the people nearby who had been watching were amazed. Once he arrived at home, he saw that none of the bullets had penetrated his body. God let him know that he had protected him in order that men might glorify his holy name. God protected just as his word had promised. In today's text, Jacob was also in dangerous circumstances. Jacob knew that Laban was a treacherous and selfish man and had turned against him. Seemingly afraid for his life, he sought God's direction. God gave him permission to return to the land of his fathers, so Jacob and his family left Padan Aram without letting Laban know they were going. Laban pursued when he learned of Jacob's departure, but God had given Jacob the promise recorded in today's focus verse, and he was fully aware of what was happening. God warned Laban not to harm Jacob. Divine protection was in place just as it had been promised. The Lord is faithful to keep His word to each one of us as well. We can depend upon His promises. At times we may face difficulties, trouble, or danger, but we can know that He is with us. If we are following His will and directions, we can be sure of His care for us in the situations we face. God allows everything that comes to us, and He will fulfill His promises in our lives in His time and way. Background information. Jacob had spent 20 years working for Laban when God told him to return to Canaan. Realizing that Laban would not be willing to let him go, Jacob chose to leave secretly. The wealth of Jacob had increased. Laban's sons were resentful of this, and Laban himself was not kind toward Jacob. God promised Jacob that he would be with him as he went back to Canaan. When Jacob called for Rachel and Leah to meet him in the field, he may have been making sure that they were some distance from their main camp. Perhaps he felt the space would help maintain secrecy and avoid some of Laban's family overhearing. Without hesitation, Rachel and Leah agreed to go to Canaan. Their father had treated them wrongly, just as he had Jacob. The custom was for the benefits of the dowry to go to the bride and her husband. This would mean that Rachel and Leah should have received the benefits of 14 years of Jacob's labor. When their father did not give them this, they knew there would not be anything coming to either of them from him. Thus, they were happy to leave with Jacob. While Laban was away shearing his sheep, Jacob and his family left Padan Aram. They went south to a place near the Sea of Galilee, a distance of approximately 300 miles, before Laban overtook them. Once Laban reached them, he could not fault Jacob for his actions over the past 20 years. When the flocks had been attacked, Jacob had personally borne the loss, and he had continued working diligently when Laban changed his pay. People of this culture often kept small idols called teraphim that were made of metal or wood. Rachel had taken her father's teraphim, see verse 19, and hidden them in the camel's furniture, a saddle with areas for carrying items. The verses 44 through 54 tell of the agreement that Laban and Jacob came to. They followed the typical procedures for a covenant, setting up a stone, making a heap of stones, taking an oath, and eating together. They agreed that Jacob would not ill-treat Laban's daughters, that Jacob would not marry any other women, and that neither of them would travel beyond the place of the covenant with the intent to harm the other. The men named the place Jakarta in Arabic, Laban's language, and Gilead in Hebrew, Jacob's language. Both names meant the heap of witness. They also called it Mitzvah, which means watchtower, stating that God would watch to see that neither of them crossed the agreed-upon boundary with the intent of harm. Once Laban left, there is no further record in the Bible of any of Jacob's family having communication with him or traveling back to Padan Aram. Conclusion. If you face challenging circumstances, take courage. God knows where you are, and He will be faithful to keep His promises to you.
Genesis chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath he gotten all this glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and, behold, it was not toward him as before. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock. And said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not toward me as before, but the God of my father hath been with me. And ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, The speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled, and if he said thus, The ringstraked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ringstraked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up mine eyes, and saw in a dream, and, behold, the rams which leapt upon the cattle were ringstraked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob, and I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes, and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ringstraked, speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou anointedst the pillar, and where thou vowedst a vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Then Jacob rose up, and set his sons and his wives upon camels. And he carried away all his cattle, and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up, and passed over the river, and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the Mount of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters, as captives taken with the sword? Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, with tabret, and with harp? And hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldest take by force thy daughters from me. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live, before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched but found not the images. And Jacob was wroth, and code with Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and thy brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with thee, thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I brought not unto thee, I bear the loss of it, of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day, or stolen by night. Thus I was, in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house, I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, had been with me, surely thou hadst sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine, and what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones, and they took stones, and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Jegar-sahadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore was the name of it called Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watch between me and thee, when we are absent one from another. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us, see, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me, for harm. The God of Abraham, and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread, and they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them, and Laban departed, and returned unto his place.